In the quiet town of Havenwood, Judge Robert Thompson was a pillar of the community. He presided over the local court with an air of unwavering integrity, his decisions respected and his name synonymous with justice. He was a man of power, a man of influence, a man admired by all. But beneath the surface of this esteemed figure lurked a secret, a darkness that threatened to consume everything he held dear. Judge Thompson wasn't just a respected jurist. He was a master of deception. He expertly crafted an image of perfection, a loving husband, a devoted father, a pillar of the church. He knew how to play the game, how to navigate the intricate social circles of Havenwood, always maintaining his carefully constructed facade. But behind closed doors, Judge Thompson lived a different life, a life filled with dangerous desires and hidden transgressions. He harbored a secret that, if revealed, would shatter his carefully built world and expose the darkness that resided within. This secret, a forbidden relationship, would ultimately lead to a shocking crime that would forever stain the town of Havenwood and expose the true nature of the man they thought they knew. The story that was about to unfold was more than just a tale of crime. It was a story of power, betrayal, and the devastating consequences of unchecked desires. Sarah was a breath of fresh air in Havenwood, a vibrant splash of color against the town's muted backdrop. At just 17, she possessed a spirit that was both untamed and hopeful. She dreamed of escaping the confines of Havenwood, of trading its predictable routines for the excitement and adventure that lay beyond. She worked part-time at the local diner, saving every penny towards her college fund, her eyes fixed on a future where anything was possible. Her laughter was infectious, her smile radiant, and she possessed a genuine kindness that drew people to her. But beneath the surface of her youthful exuberance, Sarah carried a vulnerability, a yearning for connection that made her susceptible to the wrong kind of attention. The first time Sarah saw Judge Thompson, he was presiding over a small case at the courthouse. She was there supporting a friend, and Judge Thompson's presence filled the room. He seemed so important, so powerful. Their paths crossed again a few weeks later at a town fundraiser. He made a point of introducing himself, his handshake firm, his eyes lingering a moment too long. The judge, a man of considerable influence, singled her out, offering her words of encouragement about her future. It was the start of a connection that would have devastating consequences for them both. The power imbalance was stark, but Sarah, caught up in the attention, didn't see the danger lurking beneath the surface. The judge's attention became a constant in Sarah's life. He started frequenting the diner, always making sure to sit in her section. He would engage her in conversation, asking about her dreams, her aspirations, her life. He seemed genuinely interested, and Sarah, flattered by his attention, found herself opening up to him. He offered her advice about college, about her future, painting a picture of a world where he could help her achieve her goals. Soon, the diner conversations turned into secret meetings, stolen moments in secluded parks, hush phone calls late at night. The judge, with his wealth and influence, orchestrated these encounters, making Sarah feel special, desired. He showered her with gifts, small tokens at first, then more extravagant ones, blurring the lines of their relationship. He told her how unique she was, how different from the other people in his life. He confided in her about the pressures of his job, the loneliness he felt despite his seemingly perfect life. Sarah, caught in his web of manipulation, began to believe that she was the only one who truly understood him. The age difference, the power dynamic, faded into the background as she fell deeper into the affair. What started as innocent admiration quickly spiraled into something dangerous and all-consuming, a secret that would soon unravel with devastating consequences. Havenwood was a town where everyone knew everyone else's business. Secrets were hard to keep, and whispers traveled faster than the wind. It wasn't long before rumors about Judge Thompson and Sarah began to circulate. A knowing glance here, a hushed conversation there. The unusual frequency of the judge's visits to the diner didn't go unnoticed, nor did the expensive new necklace Sarah was suddenly sporting. The whispers started subtly. Did you see the judge at the diner again? Seems like he's always there when Sarah's working. Then they grew bolder. They were seen together at the lake last night. Alone. Sarah's friends noticed the change in her, the secretive phone calls, the sudden reluctance to talk about her life. They tried to warn her, to express their concern, but Sarah dismissed their worries, blinded by the judge's influence. The gossip reached the judge's colleagues at the courthouse. Whispers in the hallways, uncomfortable silences in the lunchroom. They knew of his reputation for being charming, but this was different. This was reckless. The rumors threatened to tarnish the judge's carefully constructed image, to expose the hypocrisy that lay beneath his respected facade. The small town was starting to buzz, and the secret affair was on the verge of becoming a full-blown scandal. The stage was set for a dramatic confrontation, a reckoning that would shake Havenwood to its core. The Thompson household was the picture of suburban bliss. A sprawling Victorian home with a perfectly manicured lawn, nestled in the heart of Havenwood's most prestigious neighborhood. Inside, Martha Thompson, the judge's wife, tended to their 3 children with unwavering devotion. She was a woman of grace and elegance, active in the church and various community organizations. She was the perfect wife, the perfect mother, the perfect complement to her husband's successful career. Their eldest son, David, was a star athlete, poised to receive a scholarship to a top university. Their daughter, Emily, excelled in academics and the arts, a bright and promising young woman. And their youngest, little Thomas, was the apple of his father's eye, a charming and energetic boy who brought joy to their lives. The Thompsons were a family that everyone admired, a symbol of stability and success. They attended church every Sunday, hosted elaborate holiday gatherings, and always presented a united front. But behind the facade of happiness, cracks were beginning to appear. Martha, though seemingly content, had started to notice a change in her husband. He was distant, preoccupied, and often came home late with vague excuses. The warmth that had once characterized their relationship was slowly fading, replaced by a cold and unsettling silence. She sensed something was wrong, a darkness lurking beneath the surface of their seemingly perfect life, but she couldn't quite put her finger on it. The storm was brewing, and the Thompson family was about to be caught in its devastating path. The weight of the secret began to crush Sarah. The stolen moments, the lies, the constant fear of discovery. It was all becoming too much to bear. The judge's attention, once so intoxicating, now felt like a suffocating cage. She started to see the manipulation, the control, the darkness that lay beneath his charming facade. She realized she had made a terrible mistake. One evening, after a particularly tense encounter with the judge, Sarah made a decision. She had to end it. She couldn't continue living this lie, hurting herself and potentially others. She called the judge, her voice trembling, and asked to meet him. She chose a public park, hoping that the presence of others would offer some protection. When the judge arrived, he was agitated, his usual composure replaced by a simmering anger. He sensed that something was wrong. Sarah, her voice barely a whisper, told him that she couldn't do this anymore, that she needed to end the affair. The judge's reaction was not what she expected. He didn't plead, he didn't beg. Instead, his eyes turned cold, his voice hard. He reminded her of everything he had done for her, the gifts, the opportunities, the promises. He told her that she owed him, that she couldn't just walk away. The conversation escalated, the tension palpable. Sarah, terrified, stood her ground. She was done, but the judge wasn't willing to let her go. The end, it seemed, was just the beginning. Emily Carter, Sarah's best friend since childhood, had always been fiercely protective of her. She had seen the changes in Sarah, the secrecy, the anxiety, and she knew that something was terribly wrong. Emily had tried to talk to Sarah, to offer her support, but Sarah had always brushed her off, unwilling to confide in her. But one night, fueled by concern and a growing sense of dread, Emily followed Sarah after her shift at the diner. She saw her get into the judge's car, her heart sinking with each passing mile. She followed them to a secluded spot by the lake, witnessing a heated argument between Sarah and the judge. Emily, her blood boiling with anger, confronted the judge the next day. She found him at the courthouse, his face etched with a mixture of anger and fear. She accused him of taking advantage of Sarah, of ruining her life. She threatened to expose him, to tell everyone what he had done. The judge, caught off guard, tried to deny the allegations, to dismiss Emily as a jealous friend. But Emily was unwavering. She had seen the truth with her own eyes, and she wasn't afraid to fight for her friend. She gave the judge an ultimatum: end the affair immediately and leave Sarah alone, or she would reveal everything. The threat was real, and the judge knew it. Emily had become a dangerous obstacle, a force to be reckoned with. He knew he had to silence her. The rain fell in sheets that night, obscuring the already dim streetlights of Havenwood. Sarah, shaken by her encounter with the judge and worried about Emily's safety, couldn't sleep. She tried calling Emily, but her calls went straight to voicemail. A knot of dread tightened in her stomach. The judge, his reputation hanging by a thread, paced restlessly in his study. Emily's ultimatum echoed in his mind. He couldn't let her expose him. He had too much to lose. His family, his career, his entire life would crumble. He had to find a way to silence her, permanently. He drove to Emily's house, the rain blurring his vision. He parked down the street, his headlights off, and waited. He saw Emily leave her house, heading towards her car. He followed her, his heart pounding in his chest. What happened next remains shrouded in darkness. The only certainty is that Emily never made it to her destination. Later that night, a frantic Sarah, unable to reach either Emily or the judge, drove to the lake, a place she knew they both frequented. What she found there would forever haunt her. The discovery would plunge Havenwood into chaos and unravel the carefully constructed facade of Judge Robert Thompson, revealing the monster that lurked beneath. The night was far from over. It was just beginning. The beam of Sarah's headlights cut through the darkness, illuminating the familiar path to the lake. The rain had intensified, turning the dirt road into a muddy mess. As she rounded the final bend, she saw it. Emily's car, parked haphazardly near the water's edge. Her heart leaped in her throat. She jumped out of her car and ran towards Emily's vehicle, calling out her name. The only response was the sound of the rain and the lapping of the waves against the shore. She peered inside Emily's car, her breath catching in her throat. The keys were in the ignition, and Emily's purse was on the passenger seat. But Emily was nowhere to be seen. Panic surged through Sarah. She stumbled towards the lake, her eyes scanning the dark water. And then she saw it, a figure floating motionless near the reeds. With a cry of horror, she plunged into the frigid water, pulling the body towards the shore. It was Emily. Her skin was cold, her eyes vacant. As Sarah cradled her lifeless friend, she noticed something else, something that sent a shiver down her spine. Another figure lying face down in the mud, a short distance away. With trembling hands, she turned the body over. It was Judge Thompson. He was dead. The scene was a tableau of horror, a gruesome puzzle with pieces that didn't quite fit. Had the judge killed Emily, then taken his own life? Or was there another, more sinister explanation? The truth, shrouded in darkness and deceit, would soon unravel, exposing the dark heart of Havenwood. The news of the double murder spread through Havenwood like wildfire, igniting a storm of shock, grief, and suspicion. The death of Judge Thompson, a man who had embodied law and order, coupled with the tragic loss of young Emily Carter, plunged the town into a state of disbelief. Sheriff Brody, a seasoned lawman who had known Judge Thompson for years, found himself at the center of the investigation. The scene at the lake was chaotic, a grim testament to the violence that had occurred. The initial assessment pointed towards a possible murder-suicide, but Sheriff Brody couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. The town was divided. Some whispered that the judge, overwhelmed by guilt over his affair with Sarah, had taken Emily's life before ending his own. Others suspected foul play, pointing fingers at Sarah herself, fueled by the rumors that had been circulating for weeks. The investigation began immediately. The crime scene was meticulously examined, evidence collected, and witnesses interviewed. Sarah, distraught and traumatized, was questioned extensively, her every word scrutinized. The secrets of Havenwood were about to be unearthed, and the truth, however painful, would eventually come to light. The small town held its breath, waiting for answers, bracing itself for the revelations that were sure to come. The investigation was more than just solving a crime. It was about uncovering the dark underbelly of a community and confronting the demons that had long been hidden. Sheriff Brody meticulously pieced together the events leading up to the murders. He interviewed Martha Thompson, who, still reeling from the shock of her husband's death, revealed the growing distance between them and her suspicions of an affair. He spoke with Sarah's friends, who confirmed the rumors and Emily's confrontation with the judge. The initial evidence seemed to support the murder-suicide theory. The judge's fingerprints were found on the weapon, a small knife recovered near the bodies. His car was seen near Emily's house the night of the murders. But Sheriff Brody couldn't ignore the inconsistencies. The angle of the stab wounds on Emily's body, the lack of a clear motive for the judge to kill himself, the absence of any signs of a struggle. It all pointed to something more complex. As the investigation deepened, red herrings emerged, muddying the waters further. An anonymous tip suggested that Emily had been involved in a drug deal gone wrong. Another rumor linked her to a disgruntled former client of the judge. Sheriff Brody diligently followed each lead, determined to uncover the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it might be. He knew that the secrets of Havenwood were deeply buried, and someone was working hard to keep them hidden. He also knew that the clock was ticking, and the longer the case remained unsolved, the greater the risk that the real killer would walk free. The pressure was mounting, and the stakes were higher than ever. Judge Thompson's initial alibi was airtight. He claimed to have been working late at the courthouse, catching up on paperwork. He even had a security guard who vaguely remembered seeing him there. But as Sheriff Brody dug deeper, inconsistencies began to surface. The security guard, when pressed, admitted that he hadn't actually seen the judge inside the courthouse, only his car parked outside. The judge's secretary, who usually stayed late with him, revealed that he had left early that night, claiming to have a headache. Furthermore, the timeline didn't quite add up. Phone records showed that the judge had made several calls to Emily's phone in the hours leading up to her death, calls that he had failed to mention to the police. And a neighbor reported seeing a car matching the judge's driving away from Emily's house around the time of the murder. The cracks in the judge's alibi widened, casting a shadow of doubt on his innocence. Sheriff Brody knew he was getting closer to the truth, but he also knew that he needed concrete evidence to definitively link the judge to the crime. The pressure was intensifying, and the town of Havenwood held its breath, waiting for the final piece of the puzzle to fall into place. The seemingly unshakable alibi was crumbling. The breakthrough came unexpectedly during a routine search of the judge's home. While examining his study, a detective noticed a small, almost imperceptible stain on the carpet beneath the judge's desk. A luminol test revealed that it was blood, carefully cleaned but still detectable. The blood matched Emily's DNA. The discovery sent shockwaves through the investigation. The bloodstain provided irrefutable evidence that Emily had been in the judge's study and that a violent act had taken place there. It shattered the murder-suicide theory and pointed directly to the judge as Emily's killer. But the evidence didn't stop there. A search of the judge's car revealed traces of mud that matched the soil composition at the lake where the bodies were found. And a forensic analysis of Emily's fingernails uncovered traces of the judge's skin cells, suggesting a struggle. The evidence was mounting, painting a damning picture of Judge Robert Thompson. He was no longer just a suspect. He was the prime suspect. The town of Havenwood watched in stunned silence as the truth began to emerge, shattering the image of the respected judge and revealing the darkness that had been hidden for so long. The key evidence had been found. The truth could no longer be denied. Judge Robert Thompson's arrest was a spectacle. News vans lined the streets of Havenwood, their cameras capturing the moment he was led out of his house in handcuffs. The image of the once respected judge, now a suspected murderer, flashed across television screens and newspaper front pages, sending shockwaves throughout the nation. The media frenzy was immediate and intense. Reporters descended on Havenwood, eager to uncover every detail of the case. Sarah, now a key witness, was hounded by the press, her life turned upside down. Martha Thompson, devastated and humiliated, retreated into seclusion with her children, their lives forever changed. The arrest divided the community. Some staunchly defended Judge Thompson, refusing to believe that he was capable of such a heinous crime. Others, fueled by the rumors and the mounting evidence, condemned him, demanding justice for Emily. The arrest of Judge Thompson marked a turning point in the case. It was a public declaration that the investigation had reached its conclusion, that the evidence was undeniable, and that a pillar of the community had fallen from grace. The trial that was to come would be a spectacle, a public reckoning that would expose the dark underbelly of Havenwood and forever alter the lives of those involved. The arrest shook the community. The trial of Judge Robert Thompson was a media circus broadcast live across the nation. The courtroom was packed with reporters, townspeople, and family members, all eager to witness the unfolding drama. The prosecution presented a compelling case, meticulously laying out the evidence against the judge. They called Sarah to the stand, her voice trembling as she recounted her affair with the judge and Emily's subsequent confrontation. The prosecution presented forensic evidence, detailing the bloodstain in the judge's study, the mud in his car, and the judge's DNA under Emily's fingernails. The defense argued that the evidence was circumstantial, that the bloodstain could have been from an accident, that the mud could have been tracked in unknowingly. They attempted to discredit Sarah, painting her as a scorned lover seeking revenge. They called character witnesses who testified to the judge's good character and his unwavering commitment to justice. The trial was a battle of wills, a clash between the prosecution's quest for truth and the defense's desperate attempt to save their client. Key moments included Sarah's emotional testimony, the presentation of the forensic evidence, and the cross-examination of the character witnesses. The tension in the courtroom was palpable, the fate of Judge Robert Thompson hanging in the balance. The trial was a spectacle. After weeks of intense testimony and legal maneuvering, the jury retired to deliberate. The weight of their decision hung heavy in the air, the fate of Judge Robert Thompson resting in their hands. Hours turned into days as the jury wrestled with the evidence, the arguments, and their own consciences. Finally, the word came: the jury had reached a verdict. The courtroom fell silent as the jurors filed back in, their faces unreadable. Judge Thompson stood, his expression betraying nothing, his eyes fixed on the jury foreman. In the matter of the state versus Robert Thompson, on the charge of murder in the first degree, the foreman began, his voice clear and steady. "We find the defendant." A collective gasp swept through the courtroom. "Guilty." The verdict reverberated through Havenwood and beyond. For Emily's family, it was a moment of bittersweet justice, a small measure of comfort in the face of unimaginable loss. For the Thompson family, it was a devastating blow, the final shattering of their perfect world. Martha Thompson wept silently, her children clinging to her, their faces etched with disbelief. The verdict was a testament to the power of truth, a victory for justice, and a stark reminder of the consequences of betrayal and deceit. The judge was guilty. Havenwood was forever scarred by the events surrounding Judge Thompson's crime. The town's innocence had been shattered, its sense of security irrevocably damaged. The Thompson family, once the epitome of suburban perfection, was left in ruins. Martha Thompson moved away with her children, seeking a fresh start far from the prying eyes of Havenwood. The judge's legacy was forever tarnished, his name synonymous with betrayal and violence. Sarah, haunted by guilt and grief, struggled to rebuild her life. She left Havenwood, determined to escape the shadow of the affair and the murders. She pursued her dream of going to college, finding solace in her studies and vowing to make something of her life. The case served as a cautionary tale for Havenwood, a reminder of the destructive power of secrets and the importance of accountability. The town slowly began to heal, but the scars remained, a constant reminder of the darkness that had once lurked beneath the surface. The events surrounding Judge Thompson's crime changed the town forever. Years later, Havenwood erected a memorial to Emily Carter, a symbol of hope and resilience in the face of tragedy. The memorial served as a reminder that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit can endure and that even the deepest wounds can eventually heal. The town remembers. The story of Judge Robert Thompson serves as a chilling reminder of the corrupting influence of power, the devastating consequences of betrayal, and the destructive nature of secrets. It is a tale of how a man, entrusted with upholding the law, could succumb to his own dark desires, shattering lives and forever altering the course of a community. The power imbalance between Judge Thompson and Sarah highlights the vulnerability of youth and the ease with which those in positions of authority can exploit and manipulate others. The betrayal of trust, both within the Thompson family and within the community, underscores the fragility of human relationships and the devastating impact of deceit. The secrets that festered beneath the surface of Havenwood, the whispers and rumors that circulated unchecked, ultimately contributed to the tragedy. The story reminds us that secrets, like poison, can slowly erode the foundations of a community, leading to unforeseen and devastating consequences. In the end, the story of Judge Thompson is a cautionary tale, a stark reminder of the importance of integrity, accountability, and the enduring power of truth. It is a story that will continue to resonate in Havenwood for generations to come, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit to overcome even the darkest of tragedies. The truth always comes out,